As a child, we all long for a hero. As a society as a whole, we search for that leader that can be our hero. But as we mature and as we grow, it dawned on us that the hero is inside every one of us. And in the world's social media, we all start at zero. And slowly we search deep within ourselves to find who we are. And we have that moment of truth where we embrace that the hero that we've been searching for has been there all along. It is living deep inside of every one of us. And we start embracing that journey and we become that hero that we search for.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to episode 84 of Zero to Hero. Our next guest is another one of those guys that just has a ton of hats that he wears. His name is David Elyachar, probably better known to everybody that's tuning in into this as Big Bob from Big Bob's Flooring Outlets. He's also the host of What's Up, Big Bob and Ann, and he is a speaker with Becoming the Best You, which has an event coming up at the end of August here. So let's go ahead and bring him in. Big Bob, how are you this morning?
Good morning, Gino. Thank you very much for allowing me to share your platform for a sec.
Oh, absolutely. No, thanks for coming on. So before we get into this, tell everybody a little bit about what's going on in the life of Big Bob.
Well, Big Bob had a franchise company. We'll circle back to how I got there, but I sold my franchise company about 7 years ago and have been on a spiral down of being less and less involved with our business because I empowered and trained and encouraged my brother and sons to run their business for themselves. So I have basically become obsolete purposely.
Yeah.
So in looking for things to do, I want to serve, I want to help, and I got hooked up to Be the Best You Foundation and Brenda Ring, and that takes a lot of my energy and time and focus right now. I'm involved as a consultant on 2 or 3 businesses, always open to be a consultant on more, and a quasi poker pro.
I love that.
Not very good, but I play a lot of poker.
But you play, which is the important thing.
I'm a player. Yes, in that respect, I'm a player.
I love it. I love it. So take us back a little bit. I wanna kind of get back to the beginning. So obviously in the last 7 years, we've kind of been disassociating from the franchises, right? How did it all start? How did you get there?
Well, I've been very fortunate. I've told this story thousands of times, so I have it down pretty good. It starts, I graduated from Ithaca College, 93 out of a class of 95 in phys ed. 1's the best. 2's pretty good. 93 out of 95, why even bother going to college? Upon graduating, my teachers were shaking their heads and said, you got ADD. I said, well, that's not true. I had straight D's. Thank you. That's a great laugh.
That's a good line.
That's a great giggle. So 6 weeks later, I had a full scholarship to Northwestern to coach football. So I went from Ithaca College Division III to Northwestern Big Ten in 6 weeks. And part of the story has always been make sure you put your ladder against the right wall. I wanted to be a football coach, and going from Division III being obsolete in Division III to being in Big Ten in 6 weeks was amazing. Left there, went to the University of Pittsburgh. They won a national championship. Wow. Spectacular opportunities, learning, made a lot of friends and acquaintances. My father calls me up and he says, son, I'm on food stamps. You got to come home and help me out. So moved down to Florida, waited tables, 3 meals a day, 7 days a week, 9 months, gave my dad all the tip money. I got to keep the 90 cents an hour salary that I earned. And after about 9 months, he said, "You bailed me out. Thank you very much. I'm back in business." He was buying land in speculation, building cheap little one-family homes and flipping them. And he was a general contractor. That's what he was doing. And he asked me to come work for him. The first week on the job, he said, "I want you to sharpen my pencils. This is how I want my pencils sharpened. You're not doing it right." I said, "Pop, I love you. I take a bullet for you, but I'm not going to spend the rest of my life like this." So I got a job selling flooring. This is in 77 in Sarasota, Florida. Um, Left there after about a year there, moved to New York City, got a job for Kaufman Carpet, which was the third or fourth largest retailer in America at the time, 40 stores. After 9 months, I got promoted into management. Once again, ladder up against the right wall. Within another year, I was managing the third largest store out of 40 stores. I was 28 years old. We had a difference of opinion. I left and I got a job as a mill rep in California. My territory was Mojave Desert, Death Valley, and Fresno.
Wow.
Right. I moved from Manhattan, New York, to
Yeah.
that part of California. After about 6, 7 months, my boss calls me up and he says, "Young man, we'd like to move you to Kansas City." And I said, "Fantastic. I'm being promoted." He says, "No, it's not a promotion." I said, Okay. Substantial pay increase, perhaps." He says, "Nope, no extra money." I said, "Well, what if I don't want to move to Kansas City?" He said, "We'll give you the finest letter of recommendation we can." So I moved to Kansas City. Met a young lady on my first week in town on a blind date. We get married, we buy a house. I did not like the color of the carpet that was in the house. I was a mill rep for the largest carpet manufacturer in the United States. And I called them up and said, "What do you got that's high quality, that's being dropped, that I can buy at a tremendous discount?" Carpet's being shipped. And I said, "Oh my gosh, I got to pay for a little bit for the carpet. I got to pay a little bit for the freight. I got to pay a little bit for the installation, a little bit for the take up of the old carpet and moving the furniture." Excuse me. I wanted to replace some of that expenses. So I put a 3-line classified ad in the Kansas City Star selling quality used carpet that's installed in my living room, dining room, basement, and bedrooms. By 10 o'clock Sunday morning, 6 people had called, asked for directions, came, and all the carpet sold.
Wow.
Now, I sold carpet in Florida, New York City, half of California, all of Kansas, half of Missouri, and I never heard of the word used carpet.
Yeah.
I get 50 more phone calls Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday off
Oh
that
my gosh.
3-line, right? Well, Big Bob's now is a big advertiser. If I took out a full page ad in the Kansas City Star today, I don't think I can get 50 people to respond to it. So I'm thinking, right? Light bulb goes off. And 3 days later, I decide to open up Big Bob's Used Carpet Shop. Now, people ask me one of the most asked questions: why did you call it Big Bob if your name's David? So the name of the company was, let's see, how do we do this on your screen? All right. Big Bob's Used Carpet Shop. BUCS. Big Bob's Used Carpet Shops. Big bucks. Big
I
ducks
love
don't fly, right?
it.
David, big ducks don't fly. And my mother-in-law said, "You're lucky your name wasn't Fred." So there's the giggle again. So Big Bob's was born. After about and I'm moonlighting. And the other reason I did it was I'm moonlighting and I didn't want my boss to know I had a retail operation
Sure.
in town. And so after about a couple of months, people weren't coming in saying, "How do I save big bucks?" They were coming in saying, "Where's Big Bob?" So the Big Bob personality was developed because the customers were asking for Big Bob. And so I had to develop a persona. It was a big cigar, a baseball hat, a t-shirt, a polo shirt. And I developed who I thought Big Bob would be.
Yeah.
He's not David. He's a different person, but he is a caricature of what we think Big Bob should be. Now, during the journey, we opened up a second store 9 months later. I was getting some recognition from the national floor covering industry, and I decided to license the idea of selling used carpet and using the name Big Bob. Licensing, by the way, is a lot cheaper than full franchising, and that's why I chose to do it. After it positive cash flowed, we flipped it over to full franchising. And at one time, oh, by the way, back up. My total investment in Big Bob's to start the business was $15,000.
Wow.
So total investment, $15,000 to start this new business, which was our life savings at the time. Our best year, we had stores from Anchorage to Boston, Winnipeg to Corpus. Our best year, we did about 50 mil.
Wow.
Off of a $15,000 startup.
That's a good return. It's decent.
During the journey, we won Small Business of the Year from the Greater Kansas City Chamber of Commerce, which is very prestigious. We won the Entrepreneur of the Year from the Small Business Year from the Blue Chip Award, which is from the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. We were Ernst & Young finalist for Entrepreneur of the Year, and built the business, got an opportunity to sell the franchise company, retained the local 3 stores. And now we just focus on what we do here in town, which is building a better platform so that my 2 sons who are in their 30s who are dedicated to the business, are working their 50, 60 hours a week, very bright. And the truth be known, my single greatest accomplishment is being a father to these 2 kids, have a better platform that will exceed whatever I built. That's most of the story.
I love that. And it's the personal branding for a fictional character, in a carpet store is not something I think a lot of people would have gone that route, but clearly there was something within that just struck gold, and people were coming in wanting to see you, right? And it's something I think that has stayed within business for a long time is, people obviously need products, but that's not why they buy from where they buy, right? I mean, they buy from where they buy because of some feeling that they have, or they like somebody, or they're drawn to that, right?
I don't want to give myself platitudes, but by instinct, not by education, not by experience, I figured out or identified that humor works wonderfully well in advertising.
Yeah.
It's memorable. You're not old enough to remember Where's the Beef, but she died about 5 years after that campaign. It was a Wendy's campaign, by the way.
Wow.
But
I think I do remember that, actually.
there are if you see a generic ad for cars, or you just see it, and if you don't respond immediately to it, it has no residual effect.
Right.
Our humorous campaigns had a long-term residual effect. You saw the commercial 2-3 times. 6 months later, you remember it, and it has top of mind awareness, and it will bring you into the store. So by accident, we became very successful with our advertising.
I love that. Just based off of personality alone, which is even better, right? Because that's who you are, right? I mean, that makes it 10 times more powerful. Because I feel like, you're 100% right about humor, but I feel like when people try to fake it, when like when engineers try to be funny, not that all engineers aren't funny, right? But if you're an engineer, you know that the majority of your industry not funny, right?
David does not have a lot of shenanigans. Big Bob has a lot of shenanigans.
Sure.
I mean, there's just a whole. It's part of my personality that was totally suppressed and never
Yeah.
allowed to come out because he wasn't socially acceptable.
Right.
With the invention of Big Bob, I could get away with stuff nobody else get away with.
Right. Because it's Big Bob doing it. It's not
Right,
David. Yeah,
right.
100%. I love that. It's almost like professional wrestlers, right? Like they step into the ring, right, and they're like they transform into Stone Cold Steve Austin, right, or Hulk Hogan, or whoever it is, right? But that's not what's Hulk's real name, Terry something. It's like that's not. And I actually was listening to a podcast with him on it recently, and he was like, "Man, I separated." He's like, a lot of wrestlers couldn't do it. They were that character all the time because they couldn't separate it. But he attributes to a lot of the reason why he's still alive today, and a lot of them aren't, is because he was able to make that separation between the two, which I found real interesting.
Look, one of the challenges of owning and operating and being dedicated to your business is not taking your business home with you.
Yeah.
I mean, you have a job, you work at 60 hours a week, but it doesn't infest your time away from the business. You're not living your business the whole time. Well, compound that with the distinct personality I had to have at work was not the personality that was going to make me a successful father, husband, neighbor, and friend. So I had to develop two distinct sets of personalities, which some people were able to distinguish and some people weren't. And the people who weren't able to distinguish it never got me. And so we probably don't talk that much anymore.
And that happens, right? I mean, some people are meant to be in your life for a time, and some people are meant to be in your life forever, so
Don't be flirting with me because I'm in a committed relationship.
I was thinking, I don't know. No, that's fantastic. No, I love that you bring that up though, right? Because they are different, and it kind of leads me into my first question of the more of the meaty part of the show. So putting Big Bob aside, right? Putting Big Bob outlets aside, right? And even really the podcast, right? So putting all that stuff aside, who is David Elyachar? Give it to us in a couple sentences. What's the elevator pitch? Who are you?
Family first.
Yeah.
And we're not supposed to be talking about politics, sex, and religion, but I'm a very spiritual person. I just don't believe in religion. I believe in God. I pray every day, and every once in a while he answers. But family first. Be true to yourself. Have core values that you don't have to justify or make excuses for. It's who you want to be. Live the life you want to be proud of.
Yeah. I think that's kind of what it all boils down to, right? At the end of it, right? Is be somebody that you'd be proud of, right? And going back to the religion thing too, I think you're 100% right. I was talking with a friend about this the other day. The Bible's been translated so many times. It's the King James version for a reason, right? So it's like in my mind, I'm like, I don't know, the religion thing, but I know there's somebody up there, and I know that when I talk to him, sometimes he answers. So I appreciate
God created man. Man created religion. All religions are wrong. We need religion because it's the only way to ensure the next generation has a path to discover God. And once you've discovered God and God is part of your life and you have a covenant with God, you really don't need organized religion other than the fact that you want to have a connection with an organized religion to ensure that your children have the same opportunity to discover God.
Yeah, the community. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and there are some good things about it, right? The community, that kind of thing. But yeah, no, I think we're 100% on the same page there. You can do without it.
Good things, not so good things. Right.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, very much like everything, right? It's funny though that we almost put that on a pedestal that it should be perfect, right? Because it's supposed to be godly, right? Or next to godliness, right? But it's obviously can't be.
Anything man invents isn't perfect.
That's it. 100%. So man also invented social media, right? There's a few people out there that did. So let's talk a little bit about that. So Big Bob, so kind of going back to that, just because it's been around for so long, you guys have gone through so many different phases of marketing.
40 years.
Yeah, so before pre-existing social media, right? So you guys already had a brand built up, right? You knew that advertising was going to be important. You knew that marketing was going to be important. And then social media comes along. So talk to us about getting that social media marketing effort started. Obviously it started at zero, right? Friends, families, that kind of thing, to where you guys are at now.
Well, I want to share with you my first advertising campaign.
Yeah, I
We
love it.
first opened up, and I bought a school bus, took all the seats out, painted it red, white, and blue, put the name of Big Bob's Used Carpet Shop on the. By the way, we haven't sold used carpet since 1992. Just want everybody to know
It's all
that.
brand new.
All
It's all new now.
right. So we had this school bus, and 3 or 4 days a week, we were in Merriam, Kansas, right off of I-35, our first store. 3 or 4 days a week, the school bus would break down at 7:15 in the morning on the entrance ramp on Johnson County, which gave a full view of the side of the bus to the people who are heading north downtown on I-35.
It's funny.
The hood would be up, the driver would be in the seat reading his comic book, and he'd just sit there for an hour or two until rush hour traffic was over. And this was our first advertising campaign. Until the state trooper showed up in the store one day and said, "You fix that bus; it's not going to be breaking down anymore." And I go, "Yeah." So that was our first. So social media. In 2007, I went in front of all of our franchisees at our annual convention and said, "There is a black hole coming. And in the black hole, there's a death spiral. This is an unknown economic time, and I can't help you because there's no touchstones, there's no lights, there's no path through this death spiral. Because if you touch the death spiral, you're out of business. But going through this darkness, I have no experience. So, what I can recommend is radio, television, newspapers, yellow pages, the traditional ways of advertising may not work like they once worked. So I'm going to recommend that you make inquiries and investments into this social media stuff that I don't know anything about and start networking groups, eye contact, one on one referrals. And basically, social media is one on one.
Yeah.
Even though thousands and thousands and thousands of people are going to watch this podcast of yours, maybe tens of thousands. I don't know. You have 100 now yet? Anyway,
No, I don't think so, but maybe one day, maybe
one
this one, who knows?
day, it's all one on one because you connect with one person at a time
Yeah.
on social media. It's not like there's an audience in an auditorium of 250 people. It's like one on one in your living room.
Mhm.
And if they connect, that's how social media works. It's a numbers game. If this goes out to 5,000 people, maybe only 15 of them want to go to shop at Big Bob's. Maybe only 3 of them want to follow my podcast. But it is a inexpensive, effective way to reach people one on one.
I
And
love
that's
it.
the benefit of social media.
And I
And
want to take your analogy even one step further, really,
please,
because I love it, right? It is 100% one-on-one, but it's almost like being in that auditorium with 50,000 people, right? And instead of looking at all of them, you're able to connect with all of them one-on-one at
make,
the exact same time.
make
Right?
eye contact with each
Yeah,
and every one of them
yeah,
at the same time.
yeah,
And they might believe the message is just for you.
right.
And this is powerful. And by the way, it's not an auditorium of 250 people, it's an auditorium of 50,000 people,
Yeah, millions. Yeah,
millions sometime.
yeah,
But it's one on one. It's not like
right,
the person is sitting next to each other and saying, "What did you think?" They're
right, right.
it's an individual received message. Powerful.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. And then the community is kind of created within that comment section, right? Because they can kind of instantly, what did you think, right? And it's one way or the other way, but either way, people are talking about it, which is an absolutely beautiful thing. And I think that's why video content, I noticed your sons do a great job with putting themselves up on video, right? I mean, they get out there and they let people know who they are. And I think that's why it's become so powerful and so popular, is because you develop that one-on-one connection. Even though you can't see them when you make that video, they're seeing you, and I'm sure they're coming in. Where's Big Bob, right? It's almost the same thing, and they know who's there already before they step in the door.
We're not a large corporate business. We are a small neighborhood business,
Yeah,
a throwback throughout the history of commerce. People do business with people they like.
yeah,
People do business with people they know. People do business with people they trust. Now, maybe in the last 50 years, it's corporations they like, know, and trust. But I'm never going to be one of those huge corporations. I'm going to be that little neighborhood guy and hopefully have an opportunity to earn your business. And the only way to do that is put yourself out there and expose yourself and say, this is what I look like. This is what I sound like. These are some of the things I believe in. And hopefully there's a mesh and a connection, and you'll give us the opportunity.
yeah. I couldn't have said it better myself. Yeah, you don't see. I know there was a lady that started Nebraska Furniture Mart. I think you see her once on the website.
I got, I got,
Yeah.
I got a picture. Hold on, just 1 second.
Oh, he's got it.
I'm
I
out.
love it. You're
I'm
good. I love this. Oh, a little higher. Yeah.
This
There you
is a
go.
picture of me and Rose Blumpkin taken in '86.
Oh my goodness, that's incredible.
Right. I got some stories about Rose Blumpkin. So at one point, I was on the I was on the board of directors of the floor covering industry, and I recommended and finally got to be in charge of Floor Covering Hall of Fame. And the way this thing was going to work was I called up all the leaders in our industry and asked them if they would nominate somebody for the Hall of Fame. There was no Hall of Fame. And then I had a panel of maybe 20, 30 people who were going to vote on all the nominations. I was collecting all the phone calls. I was collecting all the votes. There was nobody looking over my shoulder. Rose Blumpkin got 1 vote. She got into Hall of Fame because it was my vote. And so Rose Blumpkin was in the first inaugural Hall of Fame in the floor covering industry because she was one of the most amazing stories of what the American dream was, maybe still is to some extent. And she was a tough old bird, no doubt about it. She did not have a lot of gentleness in her, but she made a lot of stuff happen.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. That's amazing. That's amazing. I love that you just have the picture behind you of you guys ready to go on deck. That's so perfect.
I didn't know you were going to ask me about that.
Me neither.
You didn't even know. You just said Nebraska Furniture.
Yeah, I didn't either. Yeah, that's so awesome.
Right. It says on the back Rose Blumpkin. I don't know where the camera is. There it is.
That's amazing.
There's Rose Blumpkin.
That's
Okay.
amazing. I love it. Well, let's get into the next question here. So every superhero, Big Bob, they've got those defining moments, that kind of spark those stories. What do you think your defining moment is when it comes to your life and your career?
90 days after we opened Big Bob's, we were cash flow positive.
Wow.
My wife turned to me and said, "It was the stupidest idea I've ever heard. I can't believe you're actually going to be profitable at this." And I said, "If you thought it was that stupid an idea, why did you support us?" She said, "I didn't want to live the rest of my life with you saying, what if?" So that was a pivotal move. There have been pivotal moves about winning awards, about signing franchises, about moving on, signing the front and back of 7-figure checks. There have been some monumental, but I'm going to always go back to kids, family. Those are the things that are the most meaningful to me as to what has defined me. What was the next question?
Oh, you nailed it. Yeah, you nailed it. I mean, making your wife a believer, 90 days in, 3 months in, that's huge, right? I feel like, spouses, men and women, right, can either be the biggest cheerleaders, the biggest supporters, or they can be the biggest hindrance
If
to your progress because they're closest to you. So,
look, people have asked me, why are you successful? And I've always said I worked hard and got lucky, right? It wasn't
yeah,
that I was smart. I worked hard, I got lucky. Part of the luck was she was not a naysayer when I started. She didn't squash the dream and say, you can't do that. Nobody's ever done that before. There's nobody else has ever opened up a used carpet shop that's retail. How can you
yeah,
possibly do that? What are you doing with our life savings? She didn't. She said, I believe if you want to do it, I'm there to help and support any way I can. And so she gets a lot of credit.
it's incredible. That's incredible. That's an amazing woman. That's perfect. Now, every hero has attributes, right? What are the attributes that you feel really define what a hero is?
It's funny. I watched your intro for the first time, and I don't want to contradict, but I don't think everybody is a superhero.
Yeah,
I think everybody has a superpower, right? Um, they have to find out what their superpower is, and everybody has a gift. And one of the great challenges is developing the skills that support the gift, right? So that's a big challenge in this world. Everybody has a gift. Discover what your gift is, and then develop the skills that support your gift. I'm never going to be an accountant. I'm never going to be a brain surgeon, right? I'm a pretty good retailer. So I had to develop the skills that support my gift of being a retailer.
yeah,
Um, I was never going to be an NFL player, but my goal was to be an NFL coach. I didn't develop enough skills to get there. Otherwise, I would have been there. So shame on me for falling short on what my dream was by not dedicating enough energy to it. So you're not entitled to fulfill your dream. You're not entitled to be a superhero. You have to work hard
mhm,
developing those skills that support your gift. And if you're not willing to sacrifice to get there, you're not going to get there. And by the way, I'm thrilled to death that not everybody wants to be at the top of the mountain. Because if everybody wanted to be at the top of the mountain, my view would be a lot more crowded. I
yeah.
like being at the top of the mountain and not everybody in the world being there. But I'm willing to help anybody who's willing to put in the time, sacrifice, energy to climb that mountain.
I love it. I think it goes back to what you were saying earlier too about the walls that you're landing your ladders on. I think it's something I brought. I used to be a pretty decent baseball player when I was growing up, and people ask me, oh, why didn't you play? I didn't practice enough. I didn't lean enough on that ladder, right, and develop those skills and make that choice. Really, I think that's what it comes down to as well. Because if you look at a lot of villains are very powerful as well, right? If you look at Star Wars, right, with Darth Vader, or you look at some of the Marvel DC villains that are out there, the Joker, right? I mean, he's incredibly intelligent, right? But he uses
He
his
doesn't have
powers for not good, right? I mean, he's
the
using
right
his powers for
motivation.
evil. Absolutely.
We live in Kansas City. Patrick Mahomes is being revered. Andy Reid is being revered. Kelsey is being revered as the best all time at what they do. Do you know what they have in common besides being the best all time at what they do?
What's that?
Every day they show up and their mission is to be better than the day before.
Yeah,
And they're already the best there are. There's nobody who's as good as Mahomes. And yet every day he says, I got to get better today. That kind of drive is what makes him a superhero.
yeah,
Not only does he have a gift, but he works every day to increase his superpower, what he does. And for most of us pedestrians, we're not willing to work that hard, and
Right.
that's okay. That's okay. We haven't developed our gift. We haven't identified or developed our gift, and that's okay. There can't be that many Patrick Mahomes.
Right. Right. Hopefully there's only one of them because we
Right.
can't too many more, and we're gonna have some rough runs in these Super Bowls. But
Right.
luckily we're the ones that got him for sure. Yeah.
So you want to know what superhero I identify with?
Yeah. So tell us, pick any superhero out there that relates best to Big Bob, and tell us a couple reasons why.
I'm going to say Clark Kent,
I love it. Okay. So not Superman,
not
but
Superman.
Clark Kent. Okay. Tell
Clark
us why.
Kent. You don't see him coming.
Yeah. I like that.
You don't see him coming. I've always said, if you want to win a race, dress like a turtle,
Yeah.
right? You want people to underestimate you. You don't want people to put you up on a pedestal super high because the expectations are too high and you're never going to meet them. Nobody expects anything out of Clark Kent. He can fly, figuratively, under the radar, right? That's who I would want to be, Clark.
Yeah. I love that.
By the way, I know I got Superman in the closet. I can pull
Right.
it out.
Right.
I can put that cape on.
Any
But
day. Yeah.
I don't want anybody to know that I got the cape in the closet. I want them to think I'm Clark Kent.
I love that. Smartest guy in the room and nobody knows about it.
Why
I
not?
love it. I love it. I love it. That's perfect. Well, Big Bob, you've been absolutely amazing, man. Thank you so much for coming on the show and being absolutely awesome. You are hilarious. You're fun to be around. How can people keep up with you? How can they, if they want to go?
Wait,
Go
who's going to keep up with me?
Nobody, apparently.
I'm in my 70s. You can't keep up with me.
I love it.
So we got a Facebook. We got a LinkedIn. We got a what else do we have? We have a website. We got all that stuff. I will answer any civil questions, inquiries. I will respond to all critiques, criticisms, as long as they're without too much profanity. And I wish you well. Thank you very, very much for having me on.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
Go Chiefs.
Go Chiefs, baby. Yeah, and check out it should be up later today, right, Big Bob? The website?
Yes. Uh-huh.
Yep. So check out the podcast website as well. What's up, Big Bob? And check out the podcast. What's up, Big Bob and Ann? Everybody out there. Oh, and the Becoming the Best You event is August 25th,
6th, and 7th.
6th, and 7th, right? So that's going to be here in Kansas City. Last one was in St. Louis, but we're back here at home. So make sure you get your tickets.
Gino.
Yeah.
Gino, I want to meet the one person or the people who think they've already become the best they can be.
Yeah.
Because
hey, if you are, you're not improving every day. I can tell you that right
and that
now.
means this foundation and this presentation, weekend presentation, is encouraged for everyone to participate in, because you'll walk away with some words that will empower some action to become a better version of yourself. And what greater mission can anybody have than to improve who they are?
100%. And there's going to be a ton of great speakers out there that definitely know their stuff. Big Bob is going to be one of them, right? Terrence Lethbridge is going to be out there. Coffee Cup Chuck is going to be out there. Brenda Ringwood is going to be out there. I mean, it's a start. I think Isaac Wambua is going to be out there as well, who's also a fantastic speaker. I mean, there's just it's a star-studded lineup of who's when it comes to speakers that know what they're talking about here in Kansas City. So definitely get out there. You will pick up something, right? I've had the pleasure of speaking with so many of these speakers, and I learn something every single time that I do with this Becoming the Best You series. So get out there, get your tickets, go check it out. It's local. It's not in St. Louis this time. So everybody that's watching this, for the most part, it's going to be within 30 minutes of you. Get out there, get your ticket, go check those guys out. Big Bob, thank you again, man. You're awesome.
God bless. Thank you very much.
Hey, are we still live? Hey guys, we're still live. Hey guys, this is Kevin Kwok, founder of J29 Creative Group. So who are we? We're a marketing agency here in Kansas City. We're all about a holistic approach to marketing that builds your brand and nurtures online community. But to be honest with you, you guys don't care.